don't know, maybe I'm getting old. I've never been less into preseason football. They've killed it. Like they've done a great job of killing preseason football. I don't care at all unless I'm going to Foxborough to watch a joint practice and I actually get to watch the starters. I know this is like a Felger take, but like holy shit, man. Like what's the point? Like two series of vanilla play calls. It's just, open tryouts for guys who are going to be the 52nd man on the roster. Like I, it's a I I don't know what the ratings are. I hope they're starting to come down though, because it's like they should not be rewarded for. They shouldn't have that stranglehold. Like you know, fundamentally, I understand. Like yes, like if push comes to shove, if I actually have a chance to sit down and watch TV on Thursday night, I'm watching the Red Sox and not a bad NFL preseason game. I hate that it has such a grip on this country that like people are watching it. Like it's a horrible product, a truly horrible product. And
Like if
that's
your
what
team
stinks for baseball. Baseball's gotten better. Baseball's product is a lot better than it was 5 years ago, and the preseason NFL is immeasurably worse.
Is that not the reminder I think that people need is if your team does not have a first round quarterback that's trying to show himself
Yeah.
or like what is the point outside of that? Because I was on vacation last week with like a lot of Giants fans and like they were as locked in as they've ever been because they're so infatuated with Jackson with what Jackson Dart's doing. The same way a year ago we were everyone in the area was writing Drake May watches after every practice. Like what is the point of watching this if you don't have a first round quarterback to follow?
I've been doing freelance stuff, like basically covering the Ravens, and like the Ravens are the perfect example. It's like they haven't played. Lamar Jackson hasn't played a preseason game since 2021. Like they, they don't have any. They have like three guys on the bubble. Like it's done. It's all set. They are just waiting for September 7th when they play the Buffalo freaking Bills. Like, what are we doing, messing around with preseason football? God, it's so bad.
Yeah, I mean preseason football in the big picture is a little demoralizing. The Patriots in particular. About a month ago, we were discussing about all the interest, all the buzz coming into this Patriots preseason. There was a lot of interest in how Drake May had developed. Obviously, seeing what Will Campbell and the other draft picks look like, and you know, I don't think it's been bad so far. What we've seen from them in the joint practices, the preseason games, training camp, all that sort of stuff. I almost feel like it's been worse than just very bad. It's just been meh. I mean, Drake May hasn't overly impressed. He hasn't been an absolute dumpster fire. The defense, which I think a lot of people are counting on to be a strength, has been fine. Travion Henderson has obviously been really impressive, but the more impressive he's been, the less he's playing because now we're like, okay, well, this guy's going to be a big part of our offense. We don't want to get him hurt in the preseason. So we have a lot of interest in the 6 wide receiver battle or figuring out who's going to play center or right guard. I would just chalk this up. I position this as an uninspiring preseason for the Patriots at just the time when everyone was really eager to be inspired.
Yeah, but maybe that's preseason more than anything else.
Yeah,
Like,
right.
you know what I mean? Like, maybe they will be. I actually think it's been an interesting like look at expectations throughout the summer where they brought in Vrabel. If you want to go all the way back to the winter, they brought in Vrabel. It's like, well, the floor is coming up. All right, yeah, sure, the floor is coming up. Uh, they get McDaniels. They have a decent draft, free agency. They do a little bit. Hey, 7, 8 wins. That sounds good. They come out. They look, by all accounts, pretty good in mini camps, OTAs, into training camp. They look okay at first. Then they get out there. May look in at that point 10, 11 wins. They're going to challenge for, the AFC East. And now it's kind of just like, all right, we're all bored of this. Like maybe we got a little ahead of ourselves and we're right back down to like 7 or 8 wins. And I think that's probably a comfortable place to settle. And like, I guess it's just a lesson, the fact that like water finds its level eventually, even when you're talking about hype and when you're trying to make too much out of too little. And I think that's a natural inclination when you're talking about football. And I think that's kind of the spot in which we're at with the Patriots, where it's just we haven't seen enough of it to really know for sure, but we've seen just enough to like make wild proclamations. And when you do that, you're gonna change your mind a lot faster because as you get more evidence, you're gonna reassess things. So I think that's kind of like where the spot we're at is. I think assuming that the floor is going to be a little bit higher, they're going to be a little bit more competitive. They're going to be fun to watch in a way that they weren't last year. But like, you still have no idea if they're talented enough. Like, no offense to guys who are on the bubble for like the sixth receiver job, but like, none of those guys are going to be major impacts, difference makers for a team that's going to contend for the playoffs this season. So, man, we kind of all have like tricked ourselves into like the football echo chamber thing where it's just a merry-go-round and an echo chamber combined. Like that's where we're at.
Maybe it's like a self-validation thing, or just like trying to like not let the past Patriots, not preppiness is a word I'm looking for, entitlement, like come back, because it's like the first sign of optimism. It gets back to, oh well, this is a team that runs whatever. I think it's been more of talking, at least from my end, talking myself into an awful schedule, like that stretch in October. If that doesn't result in a 4-0 or whatever, you have the Browns, who did finally name Flacco, but will still be a quarterback carousel. The Saints are awful. The Titans are still awful. I think that's more of it. And listening to this, like I think it was 2 months ago, I was listening to the first round of like this network of media go through the schedule. You start talking yourself into like not even the team, but just all right. Well, there's no way they're losing to this team. There's no way they're losing to this team. Take out the back-to-back NFC South games to start November, and then that brutal stretch late in the season of Buffalo and Cincinnati and Baltimore. There's just so many like gaps in the schedule. You say, all right, well, they could get hot here, and once you get hot, like who knows what's going to happen. I think that's been the biggest thing for me, is like not wanting to like let expectations go over the talent, but more so the schedule. And it's been very interesting to see that settle. I think what you talked about, the boredom of, all right, well, we've seen enough. There's one more preseason game Thursday night, and then it's sitting around waiting for 10 days, 2 weeks to get into the season. But yeah, I think the meh part is very true. I think Drake May has been very meh. I think the biggest thing that I still take away from this camp is there a need for like the collective local media to be running Stephon Diggs out of town already? Like the whole exchange the other day with Phil Perry and Mike Vrabel over Diggs not announcing if he's ready or not. Sure, he hasn't played in a game, but he's out there every practice. He's been out there at joint practices. The baggy situation from a couple months ago on the boat seems to have blown away. Is there still an issue that's still, being underlined that people need to make a bigger deal of? I don't understand this whole narrative. It feels like the last week or so that's, oh, well, is Stephon Diggs still worth the headache, or is he still worth this and that? Like, what issue's still there that needs to be talked about? Like, this has all been settled, and he's still on the field.
I don't know. That's a good point, especially because I mean, Stephon Diggs' presence or lack thereof is down the list of the issues that I'm worried about. Like I'm way more worried about whether Will Campbell can actually play. Whether Drake May can take care of the ball enough. Whether there's gonna be a downfield threat for him to pass to. And so yeah, I mean, Stephon Diggs' behavior is not it hardly registers for me as long as he's out there week one.
Like, what would have sparked that recently? I mean, and there's multiple outlets I feel like that have dug into that story. Like,
maybe it's lack of other stuff to talk about because it's the preseason.
right?
The
Like,
preseason's
yeah,
long.
no, is that like
we got to
really
talk
a
about
ratings thing
something
we have to dive into? Yeah, like is that really? Yeah.
Which part of it, Tim?
I feel like the last week or so it's just been more like whether it's like other outlets, it's been sports radio, just like multiple people saying, oh, Stephon Diggs still worth the headache. What's happened in the last?
Well,
month
I mean, he went on the.
that would have sparked
I think
that.
the Perry thing all stemmed from Diggs going on Diana Rossini's podcast, right?
Right.
And he said he was going to be ready for. He said he was going to be ready, or wasn't? I think.
I think he was like. I think that was what irked him, was that there wasn't a clear answer. It's like, why?
I also think like Vrabel had no idea that he said that until
Sure.
Phil asked him, which is, not great media relations on the Patriots' part. But like, I think Phil, if I were to guess, Vrabel got caught off guard by it and basically took out his frustration with the situation and his annoyance with not knowing. He took that out on Phil in a way that, like, I think as a quick aside, like, I do appreciate the way Vrabel needles reporters. It feels far more direct in a personable way, if that makes sense, as opposed to like the way Belichick was. But I think that the debate or whatever probably stemmed from that. And if that is the case, and that is an overreaction, because that was just, I don't think if you add up the sum of the headache, like I don't think you're at a point yet with Diggs where, I think the stuff that happened on the boat is so long ago at this point, you kind of forget about it. This thing is a very minor thing on like the Stephon Diggs scale. Um, and like if he comes out and looks, you know, cashed by week 3, then that radar starts getting a lot more sensitive, and then it is like, well, how can we get rid of this guy? But like if he comes out and looks halfway decent, then all that stuff gets forgotten. So I think that's, yeah, maybe it is just boredom. I don't know. Like
it has to be like everything we've seen from camp is he's out there competing in open practices and joint practices. Like every bit of like receiver interactions, even when he's not out there like catching balls, he's out there working with young receivers. Like everything that we see, at least, there doesn't seem to be an area of concern. And I think you're totally spot on that. Yeah, if there's an issue, if this is week 3, week 4, he's not performing, or there's another sideline outburst like we've seen in the Josh Allen days, like, yeah, that's a different story. But if we're sparking this note because of a media relations misunderstanding or lack of absolute clarity in a national interview, I don't know what to tell you.
Has what you guys expect from the Patriots in 2025 changed much, given what's happened thus far? Let's just say training camp to today, on the eve of the 3rd preseason game.
Has it changed, you said?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Like you can run this back in like January, and I've kind of felt this way since the start. I don't know if I've voiced it here. Is like I think they're gonna go 6-11. They're gonna have one win where it's like, oh my god, they're building something, and they're gonna beat. I know their schedule sucks, but they'll beat Buffalo or something like at Orchard Park, and it'll be like, whoa, they're building something, and like they'll lose a couple games at the buzzer on like a field goal or something, or they'll just come up just short, and like they're going to be the most competent 6-11 team in the NFL, which is kind of like Mike Vrabel's hallmark. Like if you go look at, I know that's underselling him, and I love the guy, so I don't want to dump on him, but like he got a lot of credit, and I know the quarterback situation sucked, but he got a lot of credit for not doing a ton in Tennessee. And I think he eventually gets them to that point. I don't think he's the coach of like the next great Patriots team, but I think he's probably going to, if that next great Patriots team comes during Drake May's career and it's not with Mike Vrabel is going to get a lot of credit for getting them back on the tracks. And I think that starts this year in like the most adult 6-11 that you can see. And that's just because I just don't think the talent's there enough. And like, nothing that I've either seen, heard, read, or like speculated upon in the last 3 months changes that opinion for me. Is like the talent is what the talent is. If anything, like I have a few more, not doubts, but questions about Drake May. And so I don't think they're heading in the right direction with talent, at least in the very short term. So I don't think a whole lot changes.
I think the only thing that changes in the slightest is, are people actually excited to draft an offensive Patriot in fantasy? Like that feels like the only thing is like, all right, is there gonna be a Trevion Henderson boost in like the 9th round or something? Other than that, for the actual on-field stuff, no. Like short answer, like everything for me comes back to trying to find the happy medium of where's the talent and where do they rank against one of the worst schedules in like one of the easiest schedules in the NFL, because you just kind of look out there and I'm trying to like see where this ranks in terms of like what they did in 21 and like Mac's first year, where it's a crazy spending spree in free agency. The rookie quarterback does enough. Obviously different with a second year, a potential leap for May, but that's for more of it for me is just where is, and that's probably me over ranking how well they'll do against the schedule, because they'll probably lose like Mike mentioned, like a field goal late to Atlanta, and there'll be another bad game that I'm probably expecting them to win now that they won't. But yeah, it feels like that. Like they could beat Buffalo, and then everyone kind of jumps up for a minute. Like I very much remember writing a way overly aggressive column in 23 after Mac had like the game-winning drive against the Bills, and it's like, oh well, this is the team he hadn't been able to beat throwing the ball more than 3 times. Like this is where they turn a corner, and obviously that was far from the case for not just the franchise but for the quarterback.
They turned a
That
corner.
for me, yeah,
They just didn't turn the right corner.
he turned a corner south to
They got
go
turned
talk
around
about,
in the back rooms, and
to go back to Florida and talk about his rap career that he didn't feel comfortable around Bill Belichick with. Um, yeah, for me, it's the same thing. It's I think me trying to not oversell a team that the talent is in the grand scheme of the AFC still not there, but wow, the schedule's awful, and maybe that takes them to a 7 seed.
I will say for me, the expectations have changed in that they've become a little more bearish, almost entirely due to the offensive line. The offensive line, I knew it was going to be rebuilding. I look at it, it seems like it might be a little bit more of a problem than we thought. Um, so, I mean, Will Campbell was always going to need some help out there, as they acknowledged, with his combine measurements. But now I'm like, well, how is he going to get that help when they've got the ghost of Ben Brown or whoever playing center now? So I think that is that makes my previous expectations even more modest, because even if you look at it, even if the defense is good, let's say good to very good, the offense is not the type of offense that you can usually pair with a good defense and have success, right? Because normally it's a quarterback who protects the ball, a great offensive line, possession receivers, and a good run game. Well, you've got your number one running back can't protect the football. You've got a rookie who's probably going to be more of a home run hitter than a slap hitter. You've got a quarterback who you're not totally comfortable in, being able to protect the football either. You've got an offensive line that's obviously a big question mark, and a wide receiving core that, yeah, you might have some possession receivers in there, but like, what's been the bit like Pop Douglas getting him the ball? That's been or the inability to get him the ball regularly has been a storyline for the last umpteen many years. Efton Chisholm, yeah, we like what he's doing, but like he's playing against the aforementioned Sisters of the Poor so far. Stephon Diggs, what's his timing going to be like? Not playing a single preseason game, so. That's just kind of my way of saying it's like the offensive line has snowballed its way into me having way more concerns than I did when this thing all started.
It's hard to get excited about a team that has a second-year quarterback and a new system that doesn't have a dependable offensive line or receivers. Like, if the most exciting thing about your offense is a rookie running back who might have been a bit of a steal, that's probably a sign that your offense isn't that good. And, like, I think this is nothing new, right? Like, we all know how important offensive line and receivers are, and like the hierarchy or pantheon of roster building in the modern NFL. And if you can't do those two things well, even like Tom Brady's going to have issues. So, yeah, that should temper people's expectations, even like the rosiest of glasses, you know?
Maybe that's the scarier part of the formula, and I know that I was obviously someone who wrote majorly against this last year, that like despite trends, never ever compare Mac Jones to Drake May. But there are some similarities of, again, new OC, learning a new system year two, coming off of a season where, particularly down the stretch in the last month of the season, turnovers became a massive problem. And that was really the biggest thing for Mac post Thanksgiving in 21 was those turnovers went up, and he was throwing the ball left and right into other defenders' hands. And is that extreme to say that was how Drake played the latter part of the year? Maybe, but there were concerning turnovers the last month. Obviously, there's plenty of concern last year for an abysmal team that went 4-13 again. But there is formula there that it is, like we mentioned, new OC second season. Where's the jump? Is there enough elevation in the receiving core that can help in that development? Can the turnovers come down? Obviously, we have not seen that in the preseason. That's a conversation. I feel like on October 1st, let's see where that's at. And I think with the offensive line gelling too. Are you guys as up and down? And maybe Ben was alluding to that, as like it seems like every day there's a massive overreaction to Will Campbell's performance, but then maybe things like the PFF grade will like settle the fan base for 12 hours.
Uh, I think my reservations with Campbell though are that the usual suspects who liked him initially seem to still like him. So I think there might
PFF.
be a little bit of, bias reinforcement. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think he's going to be okay. I think he's going to be fine. Um, it's just I don't know if okay and fine are going to be good enough on this
That
on
not to be
this
a dick,
offensive
but
line
like
unit.
that's the problem with Will. That was always going to be the problem with Will Campbell, right? Like you found just as many people who thought he would be just okay as you did as he would be a bust, and you didn't find a whole lot of people who thought he was going to be a sure thing, like franchise left tackle. I don't, maybe I'm misremembering, but it didn't feel like there was a lot of people who were super high on him coming out. So like I think there's value in like a relatively dependable left tackle, right? Like even I guess even if you take him with the number 4 pick, but like I was under the impression he was never or not never, but like most likely not going to be like Tony Baselli or Anthony Munoz or Bruce Armstrong or any other, you know,
Three
left tackle who retired before Tim was born.
three great players. All right. Anything else to say about the Patriots?
They're fine.
What thrilling home primetime games to look forward to in November and December with the New York teams. Those ratings should be interesting.
I always get up for a Patriots Jets game, and then it starts, and I think to myself,
the
why did
Jets-
I
yeah.
get up for this thing?
Yeah, that was the thing with like was it it was 2 years ago, like the last Belichick game where it's like, oh, this at least had some intrigue in it. And you look up and it's like sleeting sideways. And these guys, yeah, it's like you're like, are the lights turned on or are they just half turned on? What's the deal here? Like,
They didn't
you know, you
even
can
bother to
just
turn the lights on.
yeah, you can just kind of feel like that. You know, if you go, if you ever walk on a turf field in the winter, and or if you're covering a game and it's like these guys have been running around, but it's just this layer of slush built in with like synthetic turf that's just disgusting. It's just like that everywhere. It was very unpleasant. So yeah, that's what it turns into. But do the Jets have new uniforms again this year? Or are they just
I've hated the last like 3 rounds.
No,
I think
Like,
they
yeah.
brought back. I think the '90s thing is even more prominent now. So if we can get that for like the Pat Patriot on a Sunday in like October or whatever, I'd be stoked for that.
Oh,
But
I love the old like Joe Namath style ones.
oh, give me a Boomer Esiason and Glenn. I guess maybe Foley was more of the Wayne Cravat era, but yeah,
Yeah, Glenn Foley, right? Was that his name?
Glenn Foley, is that
Yeah.
his name?
I think so.
That's what I said, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I
that
think
was
you just
back
said Foley. Yeah.
Tom Tupa era. Yeah.
Oh God, that is terrible. Terrible luck. Agree to disagree.